Right, Julius Caesar, Act 1, Scene 2, explanation, Part 2. This is a very long scene in this act, so we have to divide it up a little bit. But we're continuing with the conversation between Brutus and Cassius, where Cassius is trying to understand where Brutus is coming from when it comes to troubling concerns with Caesar's growing power. So there's a shout and a flourish of trumpets because Brutus and Cassius are off, in one area. Caesar and everyone with Caesar have continued on and are at some sort of games or spectacle. And so from the distance they're at, they can hear shouts and trumpets, booming. Brutus says, "Another general shout. I do believe that these applauses are for some new honors that are heaped on Caesar. Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable graves." All right, so Brutus is again revealing that he does not want Caesar to have this growing power. Cassius responds with an allusion, Allusion, an allusion, which is a reference to, in this case, a Greek and Roman god, Apollo. It's a statue of Apollo, and there was an actual statue that showed this colossus, right? So he's referencing a statue that they know that's based on Greek and Roman. And so Caesar's like this giant statue, and we petty, meaning small, insignificant men, we walk under his huge legs, and we're just kind of peeping about behind his legs, between his legs, and to find ourselves dishonorable or shameful. Because again, he knows that Brutus values honor. And so he's trying to show that they are not honorable by allowing Caesar to have power over them. In other words, they're not free under Caesar. The men at some time are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. So we are to blame for the situation. It's this whole idea where, it's not about fate, it's not about destiny, that this is all meant to happen. Sometimes we have to take control and do something. Continuing, Brutus and Caesar. What should be in that Caesar? Why should your name be sounded more than yours? Write them together. Yours is as fair a name. Sound them. In other words, say them. It doth become the mouth as well. Weigh them. It is as heavy. Conjure or do a magic spell with them. Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar. Now in the names of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth this our Caesar feed, that he is grown so great? So he's doing this comparison between Brutus's name and Caesar's name. And no matter how you do it, whether you say it, or you weigh them, or you say a magic spell with them, no matter how you do it, they are similar in character. One should not be elevated over the other. So he asked that question, is Caesar eating like some special meat that makes him greater than us? And then he continues now, and this really goes to the heart of honor in terms of the tradition of Rome. Age thou art shamed, Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods. When went there by an age since the great flood, which again is an allusion to Greek mythology about a great flood, but it was famed with more than one man. When could they say till now that talked of Rome, that her wide walks encompassed but one man? In other words, we have not been able to look back in Roman history and see that one man dominated as far back as we want to look. Now it is Rome indeed, and room enough, when there is in it but only one man. Oh, you and I have heard our fathers say there was a Brutus once that would have brooked the eternal devil to keep a state in Rome as easily as a king. So this is a reference to a different Brutus that had helped get rid of the last king and found the Republic of Rome. And so, there was a Brutus that once did something about a tyrant or a king. Is this Brutus going to do something as well? Brutus responds, that you do love me, I am nothing jealous. And then he's like, I'm not doubting. What you would work me to, I have some aim. In other words, I kind of know where you're headed with this. How I have thought of this, and of these times I shall recount hereafter. I'll think about it. For this present I would not so, with love I might entreat you, be any further moved. What you have said I will consider. What you have to say I will with patience hear, and find a time both meet to hear and answer such high things. In other words, I need some time to think. I don't want to be pushed or talk about this anymore right now. Okay. Then he continues, till then, my noble friend, chew upon this. Think about it in your brain. And this is an important line now, considering Brutus's history and what he has at stake as a senator in Rome. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome under these hard conditions as this time is like to lay upon us. So this is, significant. Here Brutus is basically like royalty or highly in place in Roman government, and he said, I would rather lose all of that and rather than be the son of Rome that I am under harsh conditions like Caesar's growing power is putting upon us, right? So here's this idea then that Brutus is giving Cassius something to hope for. Cassius says, I am glad that my weak words have struck but this much show of fire from Brutus. I'm glad something has moved in you. Caesar and his train are coming back. The games are done and Caesar is returning. It's kind of a funny statement. The games that they were at, right, Caesar was at, and also kind of the games that they're playing here when they're talking about Caesar. Cassius, as they pass by, pluck Casca by the sleeve, and he will, after his sour fashion, tell you what hath proceeded worthy note today. In other words, they want to find out what was going on with all this cheering. I will do so. But look you, Cassius, the angry spot doth glow on Caesar's brow, and all the rest look like a chidden train. So something was up. Caesar looks unhappy, and all the people that are with him, a chidden train would be like scolded. They've been scolded. Calpurnia's cheek is pale, so his wife looks pale. And Cicero looks with such ferret, that the small animal that looks like a weasel, and fiery eyes, as we have seen him in the Capitol being crossed in conference by some senators. So Cicero looks a little annoyed or frustrated. Casca will tell us what the matter is. Now we have an aside here where we can now hear the conversation between Caesar and Antony. Antonius, Caesar, let me have men about me that are fat, sleek-headed men, and such as sleep o' nights. Yon Cassius has a lean and hungry look. He thinks too much. Such men are dangerous. So he's making this observation about Cassius. And he has this weird phrasing here, right? Let me have men about me. So I want to be surrounded with men that are fat, sleek-headed men, and such as sleep at nights. So what the heck does that mean, right? It doesn't want just like overweight people that pass out at night and sleep. This means something, a type of person. If you have some weight on you, you're content, right? You're eating well, you're happy. Sleek-headed, you're grooming yourself, right? So you're taking time about how you look. You're worried about appearances. And then you sleep well at night. When you sleep well at night, you don't have anything troubling you. So he wants people that are happy, that are content. They like how things are. Cassius is different than that. He looks lean. He looks hungry. He thinks a lot. Right? You don't want someone like that around if you're in power, because they might have something going on against you. He's right? We already know Cassius is not a fan of Caesar's. Antony says, fear him not, Caesar. He's not dangerous. He's a noble Roman and well given. In other words, you don't have to worry about him. When he says he's a noble Roman and well given, he has a good demeanor. He's kind of respected. Right? So don't worry about him. Caesar responds, would he were fatter, but I fear him not. Yet if my name were liable to fear, I do not know the man I should avoid so soon as that spare Cassius. Here we see Caesar's conceitedness. He thinks he's pretty amazing here, right, in this passage. He says, I don't fear him, but if my name were liable to fear, if Caesar could fear someone, if I was capable of it, all right, so a little conceited there, this is who I would be afraid of. He reads much, he is a great observer, and he looks quite through the deeds of men. So in other words, he can see through people and see their motives. He's a studier of people. He loves no plays as thou dost, Antony. He doesn't enjoy life like you do. He hears no music, seldom he smiles, and smiles in such a sort or a way as if he mocked himself and scorned a spirit that could be moved to smile at anything. In other words, he's just kind of sarcastic and he holds back. And if he smiles, he's annoyed with himself that he enjoyed something. Such men as he never at heart's ease. They be never at heart's ease whilst they behold a greater than themselves. Caesar's talking about himself. Cassius is beholding a greater person than himself when he sees Caesar, and therefore they are very dangerous. I rather tell thee what is to be feared than what I fear, for always I am Caesar. In other words, I can tell you what to be afraid of, but I can't be afraid myself. Come on my right hand, for this ear is deaf, and tell me truly what thou thinkest of him. In other words, I want to pull you away and I want to talk with you about what we really think about Cassius with no one else listening. A trumpet sounds, Caesar and his train exit, and that leaves us with Casca, Brutus, and Cassius going through what happened. And we're going to pick that up in the next video.